What if pushing through is actually what is keeping you so tired? In this episode, I'm going to show you how tiny mini rest breaks can reset your nervous system and give you real relief from your symptoms, even whenever you feel like you don't have a ton of time to stop and rest. Let's get started. Welcome to Chronic Illness Moms. If you're more than just a tired mom, I'm talking trying to make it through the day without crashing by noon while raising neurodivergent kids, you're not alone. I'm Ashley, a wife, mom, and certified health coach. I have lived with autoimmune disease and flare-ups that made everyday life feel harder than it should. After years of pushing through and burning out, I learned how much stress, poor sleep, and nervous system overload were driving my symptoms. Everything changed when I started building small, realistic habits that actually supported my body instead of fighting it. In this podcast, you'll learn simple habits that help you to feel better. So pop in your earbuds and take a break from the chaos. It's you time. All right, friends, you probably know this, especially if you live in a home where you have kids, just in general, or even more so if you live in a home where you have kids who are neurodivergent, or maybe you have a blend like I do. And what you realize is that home is rarely quiet. You know, can be times where transitioning from one thing to the next can be pretty intense. There can be situations and needs that stack up very quickly. So even whenever you feel like, I do have a minute to sit down and rest, your body continues to stay alert and on edge, waiting for that next thing, which we've talked about before. And we know that this constant state of readiness is keeping your nervous system stuck in that on mode, which is causing you to be just exhausted all the time. I mean, imagine how exhausting it is to feel like you're never getting to rest, never getting a break. And I want to ask you, can you think of a time where you actually felt rested recently? Like in the last 3 months, has there been a time where you thought, wow, I am feeling really well rested? If you're thinking back and you're like, you know what, I really can't actually think of a time within the last several months, maybe even just in the last month, then this episode is going to be for you, because we have to figure out ways to create rest within our real life. And that is why, a lot of times we're not building in those little rest breaks. And it is also part of the reason why we might be waking up, like we might have slept okay through the night, but we're still waking up tired because our body is running at a deficit, and we've really got to start to prioritize rest in a way that feels feasible in your everyday life. So then the question becomes, how can we work on building these little rest breaks into our life, and what would that even look like? And that's where I think that something that can really be a game changer is to create these really short but frequent rest breaks that are giving your body that safety signal. So what could a mini rest look like? This could be anywhere from 30 seconds to maybe 3 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. It's whatever works for you and your schedule. This can be done in the middle of real life. It can also be something where you're not having to leave the room. You don't have to go lie down. You don't have to wait for everything to be quiet around you. You can still continue to watch your kids and do everyday life, go where you need to go. The goal is that these are things that are going to help to calm your nervous system, send that safety signal back to your nervous system so that it can get stuck out of that on mode that it's just constantly being in. Okay, so I'm going to share with you today 5 different little mini rests that you can try. And I want you guys to, as you're listening to this list, I want you to think about different times of your day when you could do each one of these, okay? So the first one is that you want to just close your eyes for 10 seconds, 30 seconds. This is where you're going to sit. I mean, you can sit, you can stand, you can be doing whatever you're doing, but you're not doing anything else. You're just pausing for just a minute and just closing your eyes. I recommend also when you do that, I don't know try it out right now. What I notice whenever I do it is that my shoulders naturally drop and my jaw naturally, I no longer am tensing my jaw. And so again, that's a signal to us, hey, this is letting my body know that we can relax and that I am safe. And it's kind of similar to like when we're talking about the legs up the wall last week, where we were talking about it being a vulnerable position. Closing your eyes is the same. It's kind of signaling to your body that if I am in an environment where it's safe for me to close my eyes, then I must be safe. Because if we are constantly scanning our surroundings, trying to look for the next thing we need to do, the next problem to solve, obviously we're keeping our eyes open and we are looking. So if we can close our eyes, again, doesn't have to be very long, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, and just give your brain a tiny little bit of a break where it doesn't have to be on high alert. Okay, the second thing you can do is to really just kind of be aware of where you're at, like your surroundings. And what I mean by that is, let's say you're standing up. really pay attention to, what do my feet feel like on the floor? Or if you're sitting down, what do my legs feel like sitting in this chair? It's where you just kind of press down wherever you are and notice, what does it feel like? This can be really grounding for your nervous system. It can also help you to become more present in the moment, so you're not, constantly stewing and dwelling on the things like the next to-do you have to do, or the stress of what all you think you need to take care of that day. It's giving you just a little bit of a break to just be like, okay, this is where I'm at right now, and this is what it feels like. And again, it can be really great at grounding your nervous system. Okay, the third thing to do is to sit still without scrolling. So find somewhere to sit and no extra input. So we're not listening to an audiobook, not scrolling on the phone, not having a conversation with someone else. Just sit in the quiet. Again, if kids are running and playing around you, that's perfectly fine. But you are not doing anything else to add any additional input, as in you're not distracting yourself with your phone or with a book or with a podcast or whatever. And just sit there for 30 to 60 seconds and give your body that little mini rest. Okay, the fourth thing you can do, and we've talked about this one before, is to do the name 5 things. So you start with 5 things you can see, then you go to 4 things you can feel, then you do 3 things you can hear. After that, you focus on 2 things that you can smell, and then 1 thing you can taste. And this is really helpful. Again, kind of similar to the feeling where you're at in the moment, as in feeling where your body is at, like feet on the floor, legs on the chair, whatever. This is really helpful at pulling your nervous system out of that stress mode and then back into the present moment, which is helping your brain shift out of that fight or flight and back into a safety mode. Again, because we're not having to continue that hypervigilance where we're constantly surrounding for everything. It's reminding our body, hey, if I can take time in my brain capacity to focus on these things, then it must be safe enough right now for me to come out of that stress response. Okay, then the last thing you can do is a posture reset. So you might notice if you're feeling stressed that you tend to hunch your shoulders and tense your abdomen and things like that. So what you can do is just, again, focus on this for maybe 30 seconds, a minute, couple minutes. And what you're going to do is you're going to sit up straight, lengthen your spine, and then put both of your feet flat on the floor. If you're standing, then they are already there. And your body system, similar to the legs up the wall, is going to read that as a safety signal. So the great thing about that is, and really the great thing about so many of these is really all of them, they can be done with kids in the room. A lot of these can be done during the middle of a meltdown. They can be done when you are in between tasks or doing chores around the house, when you're driving in the car. Obviously, you can't close your eyes when you're driving in the car, but when you are cooking dinner, all of those things. And so when you can begin to create little micro rest breaks throughout the day, again, 30 seconds, couple minutes, whatever, but you begin to create this as a habit, it is just constantly sending that safety signal back to your body. We are good. We are safe, helping your nervous system to come out of that fight or flight, lowering cortisol, which we know impacts so many other areas of your health and of your body. So what I want you to do is to pick one of these mini rest breaks, and then I want you to focus on, how can I begin to infuse this into my everyday life? How can I start doing this maybe a couple of times a day? And kind of as I shared with you before, hopefully you were thinking about for each one of those where you could plug that into your day or where it would make sense to do it. So you already have a plan for how you can start to infuse it into your day. And that is all you need to focus on. How can I pick one of these and begin to try it out a couple of times a day? All right, friends, that is all for this episode. I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see you back next time. Hey friend, I hope you found today's episode helpful. If you did, would you take a minute to share it with another mom who's struggling with chronic symptoms? And leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It means the world to me to know this podcast is making a difference for you. All right, it's time for me to go tackle those snack requests, and remember that a short walk, even if the kids turn it into a race, still counts as self-care. Keep chasing those little wins. Even when it feels messy, you're making progress. The information shared in this podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always consult your healthcare provider before making any changes to your health routine. I'm not a doctor, and this podcast is not intended to treat or diagnose any condition. You're the expert on your body. Listen to it and reach out to a trusted provider for support.